You ever wonder if you actually did it? If you packed your bags, you booked the flight, and you actually left? It's pretty terrifying, isn't it? And sadly, sacrifices have to be made. You will change, you will lose friends, and a lot of people won't understand. But here's what no one tells you. Starting over abroad doesn't make your world smaller, it makes it bigger. And the person you become on the other side might just be the person you were meant to be all along. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's have a little chat about what it's really like leaving the UK to move to Australia and how you can make it a dream come true instead of a stressful mess. Come on. So it feels like you're doing absolutely everything right. You know, you might have got, qualification like a degree, are working very hard, progressing your career, living in the city you're meant to live in, and you're still unhappy. Sometimes the problem actually isn't with you and what you're trying to give to the world and make the world a better place. Sometimes it actually is your environment. Now, when I was living in London as a 21-year-old, I was developing a drinking problem. I was desperately alone. I was working this call center job that only hired actors that was paying me like £200 a week. And I was really struggling to make ends meet and just live a happy, sustainable life. And a lot of people say, oh, that's just London though, Sam. London's really expensive. But this is kind of what I was going through at university. And I've experienced this in my hometown of Cheltenham. It's really important I say that I absolutely adore the UK and I'm very proud of my British roots. It's just I discovered after a while that the UK wasn't right for me right now in my life. Really important to remember that you haven't failed in your home country if you're feeling like you want to escape. It just means that you're growing and you might be growing a lot faster than the people around you. That is absolutely okay. Now, when you make the leap and you decide to move to Australia, it usually comes after a big life-changing moment. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. It might come after getting a broken heart, or it might even come after like years and years of the place that you're living in grinding you down, and you finally go, that's it, I've had enough. Now, I have to tell you, leaving the UK doesn't mean that you've given up. It also doesn't mean you're abandoning your country and your family. You can come back at any point in time. If you move to Australia and you find that it's not for you, well, there's always one quick flight back home. Quick, 24 hours, but there's one flight back home. You can't run away from your problems, they'll still be there. But you're not running away from your problems, you're running towards building a better life, and that's exciting and that's empowering. So for me, that wake-up call came way before I even moved to Australia. It actually came from wanting to move to Japan. I auditioned in London for a huge theme park company based in Japan, and I booked the job, my first ever professional performer contract, and they were gonna fly me out on January 2020. I was over the moon, and do you know what? I hope this doesn't make me a sociopath, but I wasn't even sad at all whatsoever because I was so worn down and broken down that I was so ready to go. So I took the leap. Booking this job helped me escape and made me realize, wow, there is a better life out there. You can move to a different country and rebuild, and it's going to be okay. Now, the thing is, taking that leap of faith, when you finally made that decision, it is terrifying. Hollywood films, they romanticize it like, oh, I'm gonna go to Hollywood and I'm gonna make it and everything's gonna be okay. And the brutal truth is, there is a lot of moving parts to this. It's expensive, it's tiring, and sometimes you will probably question, am I doing the right thing? Especially if there's someone in your life who's like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this, mate. I can't believe you're leaving us behind. People might try and make you feel bad, but what you're doing isn't bad at all. It's your life. You decide how you spend it, and you can't let anyone hold you back, because honestly, if you do, you just grow to resent that person, which would be really sad. But the moment you step off that plane and you smell air that you've never smelt before, because Australia has this beautiful smell, you'll be like, wow, this is the start of something incredible. So the thing is, growth, it doesn't feel safe. It doesn't at all. But will it make you feel alive? Absolutely. By the way, I'm trying to hit 50k subscribers before the year end, so if you're getting any value out of this at all, hit the subscribe button and you won't miss what's coming next. Now, these are the hardest bits that no one talks about. First things first, even if you're moving over to a new country with your partner or kids or something like that, there's a lot of loneliness there. Big loneliness that not even your friends and family can almost help you with. You're in a foreign land, quite literally. Everything looks different. This might sound obvious, but while you're doing the work to set up shop in Australia, it can feel quite isolating, especially if you haven't made any friends yet. Everything feels new and a little bit stressful, but trust me, you're just working out the kinks for these first few weeks. And yes, it can last, like a month, but you get a massive return of investment. And that's what you gotta remember. There is a bit of perseverance needed for that first month. Remember, this is something you've never done before. You could be the first person in your family for generations who's actually made the leap to move to a different country to live there. This isn't something that you typically do on a Tuesday afternoon. You will be dipping into those savings and they will look like they're disappearing through a hole in your phone very, very quickly. And these things add up when you're setting up a new life. Once you've got those things, the travel cards and the credit cards and all of that stuff, you'd be good to go for years to come. But right now, it's a lot. And, there might even be a few late nights where you're half asleep trying to fill out a bank application. It's not easy. You'll have to watch birthdays from some of the closest people in your life through a phone screen on FaceTime. And some friends will drift away. And of course, there will be some people who will judge you for leaving. If I'm being honest, this is kind of the toll you pay for rebuilding a life in Australia and the fantastic benefits you get as a result of it. But the thing is, once you're in your new home, you're unpacking your boxes and maybe you have a little sit on the floor, order a pizza, why not? You might not have any mates yet, and that's okay. But then it hits you that you've really done it. It doesn't matter that you're jet lagged. It doesn't matter that you've spent all this money and you've been on a plane for what feels like an eternity. You're here and you've done all of this off of your own back. It's absolutely incredible, but also terrifying. And I know I experienced that. Yes, I moved with my wife, which is beautiful that I, have my partner there to support me. But we were both kind of like, wow, this is big, this is scary. You're starting to hear that child version of you again. The one that was drowned out when you were working that horrible job or developed that addiction or was just living a miserable life back at home. And now you're getting excited about all the possibilities of this new life that you can rebuild. But here's the important thing. You're starting from scratch. Do it well. Do it properly. You don't need to overthink it. But any of those bad habits you had back at home, like for me, it was drinking too much. If you know they're not serving you well, try and let them go. And that's why I quit alcohol 2021. Now, if you've ever felt stuck in the UK and you dream about building a freer life abroad, I write a free weekly newsletter about starting over and building a life abroad that you absolutely love. So if that sounds good, I'll leave it in the first link in the description below. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, why is it worth it? What are the rewards? Well, I'll tell you. For example, the weather in Australia really is as good as people tell you. Of course, it's a massive continent with varying different climates, but if you move somewhere like Brisbane, Queensland, where I did, or even Perth, you get gorgeous sunshine. It is sunnier on the whole, way more than the UK. You don't get rain and grey skies as much as the UK. You also have evergreen trees around you a lot more, which I think makes a big difference. Feeling warm and getting to wear summer clothes, oh my word, massive mental health boost, at least for me anyway. And people in Australia, they seem like they want to talk to you more. I was genuinely so surprised when I went to a Westfield shopping centre for the first time in Brisbane, and a really nice guy struck up a conversation with me in the elevator. And I feel like that, especially with the younger generation, just doesn't happen in the UK. You just sort of want to all go about your own lives privately and not really talk or look at anyone, which as for me, I prefer talking to people. I like that. And you find community again, not necessarily because of where you are, but because you feel freer as a person. You feel like you can be yourself again and you're attracting those quality relationships into your life. But I also found that my productivity and creativity went through the roof. If you go look at the oldest videos on my channel, I was absolutely struggling to get this channel off the ground. Nothing I made was working, even though I was a professional freelance video editor for YouTubers in the millions of subscribers. And I know the reason for that is because I was very unhappy within myself, and so making a high quality creative piece of content that I would love to watch myself, it was a real struggle. But moving to Australia, I could start smashing out YouTube videos, getting the opportunity to network with other Australian actors and producers and directors, and things were going so well that I could actually quit my freelance video editing job and go all in on my acting career and my YouTube channel. And that is something that I know for certain I wouldn't have been able to do if I stayed in London. Of course, this is all subjective, but I really did find any work that I did on my goals in the UK, it felt like an uphill battle for me. And this all might sound very good, but remember, Australia won't fix you, especially with the, goal achieving side of things. That does all come from you, but it does give you the space and the ease to become a better person. And that, you can't really put a price on that. And yeah, there's a lot about home that you'll miss, your family, your friends, the accents, some of the culture things, the tea, but having that distance really does make every call even more intentional. You'll start to create a routine and a schedule with calling friends and family, and you'll discover you don't need to be in the UK to maintain those relationships. But it is funny, every time you start a call, your friends and family back home will be like, what time is it there? What's the time right now? What's the weather like? And the thing is, you don't lose your home. It's still waiting for you there when you get back. And for me, it gives me the motivation to, you know, work harder on my acting career and my YouTube channel without burning out, of course, to be able to afford, you know, a flight or two back home each year. So I can actually be there in person and, you know, make up for some of that lost time. And one day you will wake up in Australia and realize you're not running anymore. You're actually living your life and you're living the dream. You've rebuilt your career, your health, and your purpose, and everything does just feel a little bit better. For me anyway. So if you've tried everything and you're still not happy, maybe it's not you, maybe it is your environment. Don't let anyone guilt trip you for wanting to try new things. You're not abandoning anyone here. You're just doing a bit of a life experiment to see if you like living in a different country. And if you don't, your home's only one flight away. Australia could be that next chapter of your life. So if you're starting to feel like it could work for you, then have a look at those flights, have a look at that visa application. And obviously, you have to make these big decisions yourself, and they're not easy. You've got to ask yourself, is it worth a go? Now, if you've ever wondered how people actually make it work living overseas and make enough money to live that life, well, I opened up about how exactly I make my money and how I afford to live in Australia and also visit the UK as well. So I'll leave that video for you here. Go watch that and I will see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye.